Hello.
Kia
Kia ora. I've walked straight into your pantry, Huhana. This is amazing. It's absolutely stacked to the gunnels. What have we got here?
Well, we've got products. I've got orchards. I have organic orchards, and I make products seasonals each season. So I think I started with peach, lots of figs, lots of different fig products, apple products. What else have I got here? Heritage apple and pear and date chutney. So yeah, I'm about growing and making good food.
And olive oil I can see over here as well.
I've got olive oil, yes. This is the new 2025 harvest, and this is a Licino Frantoio blend.
All grown here on the property?
All grown here in Kuku, Horowhenua, yes.
Tell me about the label.
The label is Waikokupu Grove and Orchard, and the label is done by a fantastic designer friend of mine, Duncan Munro. It looks a little bit like a Tānako border. When you put all the jars together, it kind of emulates the Tānako patterning within that weaving process that Māori do. But it's the mountains to sea because we do a lot of environmental work between the mountains and sea.
And why Waikokupu, the meaning?
Waikokupu is the name of the stream that runs through the property here in Kuku. Kokupu is the native trout, so Waikokupu, so it's a stream that held the native trout.
When I dropped in to meet Huhana Smith, it was one of those midwinter days when the chill of the land comes right up through your feet.
Gumboots on. Tēnā rā koutou katoa, ko Huhana Smith tōku ingoa no Ngāti Tūkore he ahau, no te whānau wehi peihana hoki. My name is Huhana. I'm a professor at Massey University. That's my day job. My other job is I'm a small farmer in Kuku, Horowhenua, and on land that we bought back that the Crown took in 1941. I've got to spread it out, but it's just been raining so much. So you have to do everything in between.
Not only is Huhana a visual artist, scholar and a farmer, she's also a problem solver, trying to address climate change and other environmental issues, fusing traditional Māori knowledge and scientific methods. On just over 6 hectares of land, Huhana produces an orchard load of fruit and oil from about 600 olive trees. It's nearly 2 decades since she and partner Richard Anderson bought the land. Previously, it was used as dairy runoff, and before that, part of a large dairy processing plant.
This is a block of land that was originally Māori land, and it was taken by the Crown in 1941 as part of the cheese-making production effort for World War II. It was an extraordinary powers that they had enacted. This is how they got the original 20 acres around the dairy factory, and then slowly over time houses were built, like the house at the front on State Highway 1 was a major manager's house, and then the second house was another manager's house, and then mine was later for the cool store, and the cool store used to be for veal or calves, and I don't think New Zealanders were keen on eating baby calves at that time, so it didn't really take off. Yeah. But anyway, here we are. We're on this 15 acres or 6.19 hectares, and Richard and I bought this land back in 2006, February 2006. Yeah, no one else went for it, so we bought it, and then I think I found out more so how it got alienated because I've been part of the treaty research teams. Good. So this is. No, we're walking into a paddock now, which is where I am going to move my studio to. We're just taking out this big wooden fence because I'm going to move myself and retrofit my studio, which is going to be a dwelling with a commercial kitchen on the end of it, and I'm going to live in the orchard, which will be much nicer.
Next to your produce.
Yeah. So I'm close to my produce, and so this is the top orchard. Figs, peaches, pears, what else have we got in here? Plums, Monty Surprise apples, mother apples, so I've got heritage apples. This was the a little bit of a top olives.
Is the soil good here for olives?
Well,
you know, this is beautiful fertile land, isn't it?
Well, it is fertile land here, so I wasn't quite sure about that whole notion that olives like kind of poor quality soil or rocky or dry conditions and that kind of thing, because these are Tuscan varieties, so the Frontoio and the Licino, they grow really well in New Zealand because they're frost resistant. We are A-grade soil, but yeah, they seem to be happy.
Adapted.
Yeah. They do produce fantastic olives. When we bought this land, there was not a tree on it. So we've planted everything, and there's now a lot going on.
Well, yes, there is. You've got a whole stand of native trees there, down below.
Yes, if we walk over this way, the Waikukupu stream runs through this area here. And this is a native revegetation that we started in 2007. So we've got the Waikukupu stream running through here. We've revegetated everything, but I've also just applied for some funding, and hopefully I get it, because we go back into this area and pest weed manage the lot. And then we can just start really getting into finishing the revegetation of this, so we're not quite there yet. And that we want to get the harakeke spread down here. You can see stands of harakeke at the moment.
Harakeke. These are the indigenous long-leaved wet-loving plants whose fibre or muka is used in Māori weaving. And Huhana is part of an exciting project aimed at revitalising a textile industry based on harakeke.
So this will be expanded into a pā harakeke for the fabric industry. I've been following the research work of Dr. Rangi Takanewa, who's from the Takanawa whānau from Te Kuiti, so Ngāti Mani o Poto, and I've been following her for 20 years with this whole notion of a fabric being made out of harakeke, fine harakeke thread. We're at a point now where I'm at the College of Creative Arts Toido Whārangi in Wellington, and we are very close to determining the thread through long thread technology that exists not in Aotearoa, but it exists in Europe, so it's in Belgium and Italy.
Because, of course, they have their own linen industry based on
Well, they
flax.
have an incredible linen industry and beautiful fabric, but harakeke is not a flax, even though it gets called New Zealand flax. So it is its own plant, its own indigenous plant from Aotearoa. But the muka thread that you extract from the rau or the leaves can be put through long thread technology, because microscopically you just have to make sure that it maintains long length and connectivity to create a long thread, because that's what you need to make fine fabric. So we've managed to do ours through wool processing technology, but we need the finesse of the long thread technology. So my colleagues, Dr. Faith Kane and Angela Kilford, they are the leads in the technology side of things. And I've, because we've been doing wetland projects with Ngāti Tukorehe since 2002, we now have a beautiful burgeoning wetland restoration project going on that is supplying the harakeke to create the muka.
Can you see a harakeke industry being developed around here?
This is what we're trying to do. So, and it's also a climate mitigation, water cleanser. Harakeke lies down in a flood, pops back up again. So you could be using it for, remediating kind of issues that have happened. Maybe Tasman District needs to return a lot more, wet foot plants into wet areas.
How exciting would that be if you could develop some kind of industry around that and also solve some issues around the climate?
Well, I think that's why we're having conversations. I mean, we will be having conversations with major sustainable fashion labels. That's coming up, because then we can be wearing kind of styly harakeke linen, if you want to call it linen. The knowledge promulgators are the Takanawa whānau, and so I've always been really, really, we must protect the Māori intellectual property in terms of this thread, because it comes from Māori knowledge systems. Just watch that water there. It's been so wet, I haven't been here for ages. What's up?
Huhana leads me to the main olive grove, which is ready for a prune, having just produced a bountiful harvest.
Quite wet underfoot, isn't it?
Oh, gosh, it's just been... Well, I think, we have to say we're a bit lucky in terms of what's been happening in other areas of the country, in terms of increased rainfall from climate change. So, yeah, I have to start measuring and adjusting how the grove is coping with the changing climate. So that's why it's really important. There is something I do have to do. I have to get my grove survey results completed and sent to the New Zealand Olives Association so they can keep a bit of a tab on what's happening environmentally and climate change wise.
Anecdotally, are you seeing changes over the years?
I think the frontoio haven't been performing too well. Probably since 2021 they had stopped fruiting, so that was a bit of an unusual thing, like what's going on there? But I think that's what we have to start doing as an association with the Olive Oil Association, is actually start chronicling the changes we're seeing. And because I'm a professor at the university, you kind of go, what research project could we do out of that? I made so much olive oil this year, that's going to make a lot of bottles. And I sell in a 250ml and a 500ml bottle at present. I might sell some in bulk, but...
How do you sell it?
I have quite a few outlets around, really local. I keep it very local. I'm not interested in supermarkets.
Do you make anything from this grove?
Good question. Do you make any money out of olive oil? Probably not, but I think if you wanted to be commercially viable, you have to have about 4,000 trees in New Zealand. I don't have 4,000 trees. Oh, here they come. Here come the neighbours' dogs. Hey, you two. I enjoy what I do, and it's not about being an olive oil magnate, because that's not going to happen. It's about the best organically grown food and the best quality food that should feed communities. Because I think that's what our people did in the 1830s, because we fed Wellington in the late 1830s, 1840s, pre-signing of the Treaty of Waitangi, our hapu of Ngāti Tukorehe. We had clipper ships, we had barley, wheat fields, we grew melons, we raised pigs, and we sold those products in Wellington, and we fed the burgeoning city of Wellington. And I think it was the 1855 uplift that kind of upset that a little bit.
That's the earthquake.
Yeah, the earthquake. You couldn't get the clipper ships back up the Oho Waikawa shared mouth, so that was a little bit unfortunate. But then I think you also got the other thing that's happening, you've got the power bases changing, and that Māori weren't being, I don't think, well looked after. So I think my ancestors were very enterprising to start off with. So I feel like I just work upon that legacy that they established, and that also, I whakapapa here to Ngāti Tukorehe, and our marae is just diagonally across the road here, and my great-great-grandfather was a farmer. So he was one of the first Māori farmers. So he comes from that generation before him who were doing all the land negotiation work with, Pākehā and settlers and all that kind of thing. So they knew that they would make a really going concern about being Māori involved in agriculture or horticulture, because they come from, a horticultural background. But I just think, unfortunately, I've done so much treaty research now, unfortunately, it wasn't about caring and sharing, it was more about power and control. So, unfortunately, Māori were our people were beset by that.
In 20 years' time, looking out here, what would you like to see?
Okay, so I want all the slopes will be revegetated. I'll have large harakeke to service the fabric industry. All of the stream system and the gully and the neighbour's gully will be completely reforested. The olive grove will just remain a thriving olive grove. We'll probably expand more gardens and put more orchards down here below. I'd love to, never had the money to buy the dairy factory, but I think if the owner of the dairy factory ever wanted to sell it, I think we should start looking at collectivising to have a space for the harakeke industry, so that could be really amazing. But I haven't hit him up on that yet, so I better be careful about saying too much. But I do believe that we can be doing incredibly sustainable, Tataiol-centric, healthy ways of growing our food, and then how we have mitigated the problems we've created through industrialised agriculture.
I was talking there to Huhana Smith at her olive grove in Horowhenua. She's in the process of getting organic certification for her farm. Watch this space for more about the harakeke textile project she's involved with.